Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry the parking situation is so bad, so we'll probably still be having some people come in as we keep the doors open. Anyway, I'm Becky Hogue, and welcome to Books Between Bites. I'd like to announce this is our 37th season. Wow. We've been at the library since it opened. We used to be at the Methodist Church. My parents started this program. So anyway, welcome. We have some former speakers and upcoming speakers in the audience. So happy to see all of you regulars and new people and Marnie and Mary fans. So I have a couple of announcements I want to make before we get going. We have a special program on Wednesday, December 3rd in this half of the room featuring our own Barb Mabs. And there's some flyers at the back table. And this is a screening of Adapting to Dive, a documentary about the group she goes with scuba diving. And it's a wonderful documentary. I've watched it at least 2 or 3 times, and we wanted to share it with our friends in Batavia that haven't seen it yet. So it's at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, December 3rd, and Barb, who's been doing our videotaping for BATV since the library opened, this new library, which is now 20 years old. We're just delighted to be able to share this documentary and hope you will come and watch, and then she's going to answer some questions. Once in a while she misses the Books Between Bites because she's off on a diving trip. And you couldn't be happier for her because it's such a wonderful time for her. I wanted to put a plug in for our December program with Jim Bennis. If any of you used to listen to WBBM when he was on there and would do his annual Christmas remembrance, he would read it himself, narrate it, he'd write it, and there's a book, 2 books, a collection of his stories about Christmas in Chicago, and so he's going to be our guest speaker on Thursday, December 18th. And I will be putting that in my email that I sent to all of you who have signed up. If you haven't signed up and would like to be added to my monthly email, there's a clipboard on the back table, and just fill it out and you'll get the next notice. One more thing, there's going to be a change with the library coffee house in January. We're not sure when it officially will open, but it will be changing, and so I will get, if there's a new phone number for ordering, I'll update that in my email and on the flyer, but it's now going to be run in January by Limestone, which many of you are familiar with. So after those announcements, I have to bring up, is Marnie first? Yeah. So I saw Marnie last night. This is her 5th program for Books Between Bites over the years. And we are just delighted to have her back. This is her 3rd with Mary in this series. And many of you have attended before and heard her programs. And then she has her 2 other books. You have some copies of them that she's shared about her wonderful experiences in her cabin in Wisconsin. So Marnie's been a teacher, a writer, a freelance writer, author of her own books, and a community member for ever. And she started out in Ohio, in Aurora, and with a family, the Open Dairy, if you remember that from your youth. Anyway, Marnie, Mamminga, please come on up, and then Mary will follow.
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for coming, especially on this kind of gloomy day. The Christmas trees are going up, the electric, devices for cars are being installed, and we're just thrilled that you showed up and appreciate so much. being back here again and being invited to Books Between Bites. A big thank you to Becky Hogue with her wonderful Books Between Bites, has been going all these many years. To Barb Mapps, who's always has been a fantastic videotaping us. We're so grateful for that. The Batavia Library, what a wonderful space we have. And to Kristen and Andrew, Batavia staff, that have been helping us out. And a huge thank you today to Gary King, who's sitting in the back, who has kindly helped us design our PowerPoint and has added some very interesting sound effects to enhance our presentation. So I think we'll have some fun with those a little bit later on. So just thank you again all for coming. It means the world to Mary and to me. And just to give you a little overview, I'm going to give you a little background about how Songs of the Lake came to be part of our Finding Wisdom in Nature series. And then Mary is going to give a demonstration of how she made these beautiful illustrations, which is just fascinating, her technique and her thought behind it. And then we've got, of course, books for sale, hard or soft covers. And if you'd like a set for your holiday giving, Mary will kindly do a little gift wrapping for you if you would like a hard or soft cover set. So that's our program. So again, thanks for coming. So this is Songs of the Lake, and it completes our Finding Wisdom in Nature series. It's a song trilogy, and all three of these books were inspired from these NPR WNIJ perspectives that I've been writing for about 5 years. They're just 90-second little vignettes. In fact, one aired yesterday on the radio. And I often write about nature, relationships, hope, try to find a positive spin on things. And these three all had to do with nature. And I wondered if they spoke to me and maybe spoke to adults, might they also speak to children and inspire them to leave their screens and go outside and be inspired by the nature, the beauty of nature. So that is how the three books came to be. And the first one that we came up with is the Woodpecker Song, and it was inspired. I was walking down a snowy, icy, frosty, freezing cold North Woods road in the middle of winter, and all was quiet. I was by myself, and then I heard a woodpecker tapping, and discovered eventually that it was a hairy woodpecker. And it seemed to spark my imagination, and I wondered what was it saying, and what would be the life lesson that it might impart. And I thought if it was speaking to my imagination, maybe it could speak to a child's imagination as well, and encourage them to go out into nature and to hear nature sound. And so our first book became the Woodpecker Song, and the theme of this book was Dream Big is Dream Big. And we're happy to say it went on to win Eric Hofer first runner-up award and a second award from Eric Hofer for children's literature. So we were thrilled with that. Thank you very much. And second in our series, I got inspired again walking down a very cold forest, snowy road. It's great for your imagination. And I noticed that it's the same snowy forest road, very cold, that I wasn't walking alone. There were two sets of very large tracks that were preceding me down the road. They had come out earlier in the morning, thank goodness, and I realized I was walking with wolves. And as a child, I've not been afraid of wolves. Spending summers on the Northwoods Lake of Wisconsin, we used to hear my brothers and sisters, and I used to hear the wolves calling across the lake in the north wetlands. And my father would say to the five of us children, you know, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. That's just Willie the Wolf calling his friends. Well, we certainly identified that. You know, we were always hollering to our friends. And my father named all the creatures of the forest. So there was Blackie Bear and Freddie Fox. There was Rocky Raccoon, Marvin Muskie. So we felt very connected to the forest and to the lake, that these were our friends. But as an adult, and you're walking down a road, even though I know historically that wolves, the research has showed that wolves rarely attack a human, it is a little bit unnerving. And so this theme of the wolf song in me became facing fear. And we hope that children will not only understand a little bit about wolves, a little bit more about wolves, but understand other things and talk about other things that frighten them and how we can overcome those fears. So that book has led us on a journey to, happily, the International Wolf Center in Ely, Minnesota has asked to carry the wolf song in me. And I was able to venture up there this summer and deliver the books. And if you're ever up in that area, it's a beautiful area filled with lakes and forests, winding roads. And the Wolf Center is a wonderful educational building and displays and educational lecture, appeals to adults and children. And I got to see the wolves up close and personal, which was better than meeting them on the And so that brings us to Songs of the Lake. And Songs of the Lake has a long backstory. That's been kind of brewing for a long time. And you'll notice the woodpecker Mary put on the cover, and you'll see that she has incorporated a lot of the themes of all three books in this book and to tie them together. Now, Mary and I were both fortunate to have North Woods experiences growing up. I had this family cabin, we still do, Wake Robin is called, and it's been in our family for 95 years. It's still a little log cabin with an old screen door, same screen door that's been there forever. And the first thing that, as a child, of course, we had no TV, no internet, no dishwasher, so that's pretty much how it still is. And when you would wake up in the morning as a child, the first thing you heard was the quiet. So you might hear the wind in the trees, you might hear the waves against the shore. Eventually you might hear crows calling to each other in the trees or loon across the lake. And eventually, by noon, certainly kids are up, jumping off the dock into cold water. You heard their laughter, and pretty soon you heard the sound of a motorboat fisherman going out to try to catch that elusive Marvin the muskie. So a huge influence on me, and also on Mary. And Mary had a cabin in Otter Tail, Minnesota, which is up near Bemidji. And she has this lovely cabin that was in her family, beautiful deck, and she's going to tell you more about her experience there. But here's Mary with her son Brad, it's the third generation. So these exposures to nature have influenced us tremendously. And some of the things that we saw and were exposed to were very common, were the water lilies. For example, you might see a blue heron by the purple pickerel water lily. You might hear frogs from the beautiful white water lilies. We often saw eagles. Sometimes, if we were lucky, their nests with chicks in their nests. And of course, the loon calling was always a highlight to our experiences. And you'll see how these influences have been incorporated into the story and into especially Mary's art. So my lake experience has had a profound effect on me. It led me to write my first book, Return to Wake Robin, One Cabin in the Heyday of Northwoods Resorts. And it is a history of one cabin and one camp from the 1920s to the 1960s, when you went to the woods and the water, all you needed were like Thoreau, just the basics and the boat. And that was published by Wisconsin Historical Society in 2010. And it followed it up with my second book, On a Clear Night, Essays from the Heartland, in 2017. And that is a collection of essays that celebrates the Midwest life, that those strong experiences of friendships, family, parenting that tie us all together like stars on a clear night. And I love this, this was a Wisconsin photographer who took this photo right before dawn, and it's almost like you're sitting on a dock waiting for a shooting star. So both of those books, and there's a whole section called Under the Milky Way about the North Woods and its influence on all of us. And it wouldn't necessarily have to be the North Woods. It could be any place where there's a lot of nature, a farm, an oceanside, a pond, a walk down our river that speaks to you. So that leads us, all of those influences have now come into our book, Songs of the Lake, and we've pulled them together, and I'm going to read this, read the story to you, and it's not very long, but Gary's sound effects are, have added a lot, so they kind of start out each page. So I'll kind of let you get a feeling for that, and then read the text, and then gives you also time to look at the pages and look for Mary's art and see how some of these influences came about. So here we go. Hold on to your seats. Here's the first song. Hush, my mother scolds, sound carries over water. Playing and splashing in a cold lake by our Northwoods cabin, my brothers and sisters and I have heard this warning many times before. Even so, we always forget to keep our voices down. Instead, my mother's frequent motto teaches us to listen for other sounds carrying over water. Usually the sounds that catch our attention first are like our own, the shouts and laughter of neighbor kids jumping off the dock into cold water. Sometimes the soft sounds catch our ear, the gurgle of a sailboat's tiller as the bow plows through the water. Do you feel like you're paddling? Or there's the rhythmic drip of a paddle as our kayak slides quietly through the purple water lilies in search of a great blue heron. Or the low chatter of fishermen as their lures plop one after another into still waters. Other times, just the gentle whisper of wind through the trees speaks to us. Most favorite, though, are the sounds of the wildlife, their songs singing out to us in happy abandon, eagles chirping to their chicks high in the nest. Or owls hooting through a moonlit forest. Or bulldogs burping into the early mist of dawn's rosy light. But nothing speaks more to our hearts than the bell-like songs of loons in flight, the joyfulness of their music ringing across the sky. I am always a little sad when summer ends, for I will miss these songs of the lake. When nights are cold or days are dreary, it is this symphony of music that leads me back to the splendor of sound carrying over water. Lullabies serenading me to my dreams. And because Mary and I are former educators, we of course had to include fun facts and discussion questions, and we have those in all three of our books, hoping to engage the child and the reading companion. And we pulled out some of the words that we used in this book To give a little more background, so did you know the great blue heron has a wingspan of 6 feet? Or a bald eagle's nest is called an eyrie and is made of large sticks. It can weigh up to 2,000 pounds and last for many years. Bullfrogs often sound like a cow mooing. They are the largest species of frog in the United States. And the loon's flight song is called the tremolo. It often is called the laughing call. Other calls of the loon are the yodel, the wail, and the hoot. All are used to communicate to other loons. A sailboat teller steers the boat. It is pushed in the opposite direction the sailor wants to go. And a symphony is a long, beautiful piece of music written for many instruments. Listen to Mozart and Beethoven symphonies for some classic examples. And of course, we had to have discussion questions. So we hope that this will engage the child and their reading companion to carry on with their own thoughts. So what are some of the sounds or songs that you hear out in nature? And what are your favorite outdoor places to visit? How do you feel when you leave a place you love? How would you choose to remember a favorite place? Through a poem, art, photography, a song, or something else? And which is your favorite illustration page and why? And which lake animal or person in the book did you like best and why? And what main colors do you see that remind you of art, of the summer? So we tried to tie the art and the themes into these questions. And Mary has included these magic circles to help the child perhaps draw their own loon. And also in the Wolf Song and Me, there's magic circles to help you draw a wolf. And so with that in mind, Mary's going to tell you a little bit about how she made these beautiful demonstrations or illustrations and demonstrate some of her work. So take it over, Mary.
I just realized that I left something over there. When she said something, I went, oh my gosh, and I'll get it out for you later. It's really hard to follow someone who has a master of words, is it not? That is not my master of words. But I want to tell you a little bit about me and then talk about the artwork. At a young age, I was waking in the night, in the middle of the night, and put in the back seat of a car to drive 10 hours to Ottertail, Minnesota. Ottertail, Minnesota was where my lake was, or I should say our family lake was. It has very few people in its own town. The amount of people don't show up until it's summertime. That's how those kind of towns are. But anyway, the Ottertail has a very, very large lake, and then it has some smaller lakes around it. Our place was on one of the smaller lakes called West Leaf Lake. The uniqueness of this is that on this lake, there were 6 to 7 families, all from the same Romanian church in Aurora. When you would go past our area, you would see an American flag, and you would see a Romanian flag. As a child, that was wonderful, because especially if you're an only child, that's wonderful, because there's always somebody that you can play with. Get somebody to take you out on the boat. There's always that going on because of this corny little thing that our parents did. And if my father heard me now saying that it was corny, he'd be real proud of me. My childhood was loving, sound, and guided. It was full of everything I needed or wanted, like playing the piano and all the things I did in the high school. Yet it lacked, for me, personal experiences in the visual arts. It wasn't till college when I met a girl on my dorm floor that was an art major, and that uncovered that voice in me. I fell in love alongside of her, watching her work the first year, experimenting with art's endless possibilities. Having a teacher scholarship and not knowing what to do with it, I immediately pursued art and art education. She introduced me to someone by the name of Dr. Carmen Armstrong. Dr. Carmen Armstrong was the head of the department there and was also the head of the Illinois Art notes. So when I met her, I was a little intimidated, of course, and she said to me, "Let me see your portfolio." And I said to her, "I've never taken an art class in my life." And she said to me, "Well, then this summer you're going to stay at the college, you're going to take 4 classes, and one of them will be mine, and we'll talk about it." Later, I became an art teacher. I loved teaching art, I really, truly did. And I taught from grades K through college for the next 30 years. When Marnie invited me to illustrate her book, I immediately said yes, because I already knew her writing, and I knew it well. The most heartwarming stories that she wrote in Chicken Soup for the Soul entries, have you seen those of hers? Okay. Many of them were done about the 2 of us raising her kids. And to see that in writing, in the book, I mean, that was profound for me. I knew that I was in good hands with her. This wasn't my first illustration opportunity. I did drawings for a cookbook, and I illustrated in Illustrator magazine. Marnie's call had very different responsibilities. Now you gotta know something about me. I'm very, very serious. I really am. When I have something that I have to do, I look it up, I research it, and so I'm going to read you a whole bunch of research. And the reason I'm doing that is because doing this for someone, she gave me carte blanche. I said, "No, give me some, whatever you want to do." That's a lot of, not pressure, it's just a lot to think about. And with her trusting me in this way, I really, really wanted to look it up and get it right. So the first thing I found out is there's many considerations. One of them is the art needs to look like the author's voice. I love that line. So my art needs to look like her voice. So I look for tone. Is it loud? Is it soft? Is it captivating? Is it passive? I look for flow. Is it smooth, rough, or choppy? I looked for images. Did she use outside things, inside things? Did she use different people and animals, weather, temperatures, buildings? What did she use? So therefore, I did my homework. I found all of that stuff out before I even began to think about what I was going to use. For example, and I promise I'll get this. Is that working? I gotta get this to work. I promise I'll get this. I'm going to tell you, and then I have to get it out for you. Anyway, so for example, the first book was all about snow. And so I got to do snow on every single page. And it's got to look the same on every single page. And what do you use? I mean, what is going to be consistent? Is it going to be painting? Is it going to be oil painting? Is it going to be just acrylic painting? What are you going to use? And I just, for days, let that sit in and remembered that upstairs, gotta know my upstairs, I have so much stuff. One of them was some thick, thick paper. So I found the thick, thick paper and thought, there it is. There's my snow. That can go through the entire book. And luckily I had enough. Now, not only that, if you tear things in a certain way, you get a certain feeling. So the softness here. So I had to learn by tearing this towards me, I was going to get a really nice winter soft edge. I don't know if you can see that from where you are, but it's much softer and lighter at the top, which mimics the snow. So anyhow, that was one of the things that I had figured out with this one. The other thing is then I got all of this in. It's all going. I'm going to do, it is already decided now, I'm doing torn paper collage. Already decided, so I don't have to figure out, what I'm going to use. It's going to be torn paper collage. So then I looked at this torn paper collage, and I loved it. And then I thought about putting the animals in and realizing if I tore those animals and those people, they were just going to get lost in the background. So now it became torn and cut paper. Okay? So now you can see that they, not only because of the color, but because of the sharp edges that are on there, it's a good contrast between the two. So that book was done, torn paper and cut paper. That's how the entire book was done. This is our torn paper woodpecker, and here's another example of it. When I do this, and I hope you come up and look at it, this one has over 100 pieces of paper on it, okay? It doesn't look like it, but if you want to sit and, well, we have to leave, but if you want to sit and count them, you can. Book 2, okay? I was going to make a trilogy follow each one. I wanted it all to be paper, all to be cut. I didn't want to switch it up. A lot of it has to do with the child. I was doing a child in each one, and I wanted that child to possibly look like he was going through the autumn section now of the year. So now I've got this, and why is it smaller? Because my publisher said, you don't send me something this big. You send me something the size of the book. But you gotta understand, I started this before we had a publisher. So anyway, that's why these are smaller, not because I just got lazy, but that's because of why they are. Now this time around, I don't know about you, but I look back and I think, what did I do that I didn't like in this book? I was afraid that I had too much going on, that I had covered everything with snowflakes and people and all this stuff, and I was a little bit afraid of that. So I tried to clear it up a little bit. So this one is a little bit different. Doesn't have as much in the background, and it's still the torn paper and the cutting. So now, how am I going to get texture in here besides the cutting? Well, I can do texture by creating, what am I trying to say? These. By creating volume. You know. So I had to come up with a way to make this look like it was dubbed in. And I ordered all of this stuff from all over these different art places, and nothing worked. Nothing worked out where I got a deep enough cut in here, or a deep enough pressing in here to make what I needed to have happen with the paper. Well, I was probably just like you, cleaning off my meat trays, and my fingernail went in it, and I wonder if this would work. And it did. These are all fingerprints with my fingers, and they're all pushed in, and I took a piece of paper, a little bit lighter weight than this, because I knew these had to be in mud. I knew from the book that's going to be in mud, and so I needed a texture. And so I took these, watered them down, pushed them in, let them dry overnight, and they turned out perfect. Okay? Now, I actually like this side better, but we weren't working with the snow this time. So this is the mud, and then of course I darkened the inside. So this book then has the texture. It has the whole story of what Marnie wanted on there, and done in a completely different way, but still torn and paper cut book. Third book. I'm sorry, this is our favorite book. Now, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, this book. Now I'm going, this one was a little too little. I had too much. Don't go as far as this. Don't make it this, simple. So this book starts to look like this one. I should do another book. Don't you think we should do another book? No, I don't have any other ideas. Anyway, so now I had a whole different feeling about this book. And this time I used real textures as much as I possibly could. The screen door is real screen, and I have it right here. It's real screen, okay? I started to go into my pile and use real stuff in this book, the real textures, and feeling much braver, of course. And if you remember, this is the one that Marty mentioned about her screen door with her mom. I'd been there, so I knew kind of what that looked like. And then the next thing I put in here was memories. Now, the only people who know that is Dave and Marty and I and all of you. Okay, I mean, when people buy the book, they have no idea about, you know, that I really, really wanted there to be memories in there. And I really, really did. And that's because for over so many years, the two of us would share. And I went to their cabin, and we would share this whole experience. Our boys would talk about it. It was part of the two of us. And it was part of our memories. And so since we're doing one on a lake, why not do memories? Fine. This is her mom on the porch. This is Marnie and I on the deck. Now, when the deck is brown, it's from her lake. When the deck is white, it's from my lake. Now, I didn't want to use my house, I wanted to use her two houses, because I don't know if you know this, but in the book you'll see a red, beautiful home, and that belongs to Marnie and Dave. So I wanted to start it with her grandmother's and end it with hers. These are the kinds of things, I'm sorry, I got chills all over. These are the kinds of things that only her and I know. And telling you, I think, gives you some idea of what different things illustrators go through. It's not just the making. It's the searching to find out if the making is right. And I took that very, very seriously. So throughout the book, you'll see all kinds of textures, and you'll recognize them from what you just saw in the book. In the book is this.
And your...
And, yes. I got stories. I'm a storyteller. I don't mean to be, but I am. This is the paper that is in that picture, okay? When I was about 18, now you understand I'm in art, going to be an artist, and I'm all excited. And there was a woman down the street who used to make handmade papers. So I bought them. I never used them until this book. It's just, if you've been to my house, you know. I have papers. I'm never going to use all my papers. But this looked to me perfect for that, and it worked out so well. Torn paper, perfect. The screening, a lot of the things in there are from real bark. I used real things. So this one was a whole different avenue of textures and a ton of memories. So in the book, you will see her place. Then the second page, if you saw, was a boy on a white dock, and he was looking at the water, and nobody knows this but you and us. That's the look out of the window from my place. So every time there's that, it's my place, and every time it's the other one, it's her place. There's one page where you saw that there was a sailboat. Well, that sailboat was the exact colors of Marnie's sailboat, and I tried to do that throughout the whole book. So that's become real cherishing to both of us. And just giving you the background, I just think it's kind of fun to know what people think about and what they do. I loved what I did, and I want to read my little ending before Marnie reads her little ending. As literature, art, and nature open its voice in the two of us creating these books, it is my hope that our books open eyes to children to the awe in nature. And when they go outside, they feel what we feel. I know after illustrating these books, I feel it better. And I want to thank Marnie for the invitation to discover the feelings through this unique publishing opportunity. that she gave me. So, it's her turn.
I can see how blessed I am to have Mary as my illustrator, and not only that, her friendship. And I just want to conclude with a little back story.
Wait.
Okay.
Okay.
You could finish.
I know I had these. Okay, so anyway, I'm so sorry I didn't have these out. You saw this in the book, okay? If any of you would like to learn to draw a loon, here it is. And if you have children or grandchildren, you'd like to do that, there's a lot of pages here that you can take with you. And if you want to tear the paper from underneath the loon with your little one or yourself, the simple tear is to pull forward to get that soft white, can you see it? The soft white edge. Okay, and then you get that, that's how I do it. So if you would like those, they're going to be right here for you to take. I'm done.
Well, just to conclude, again, what fortunate that I have Mary as my illustrator, that we have this journey together, and I wanted to just share a little bit of that background journey. Mary and I met as cheerleaders in Aurora, and I was a cheerleader for West Aurora High School on the west side, and Mary was a cheerleader. She attended Madonna High School, east side of Aurora, and cheered for Marnie. So when our teams met, which was once or twice a year in football or basketball, we would host each other's team, and the visiting team, that was the job of the host cheerleaders to go welcome the visiting cheerleading team. And so if we were at Marmion, that would be Mary and her squad. If they came to West Aurora High School, that would be my job. And so Mary and I, over our couple junior, senior year, got to know each other a little bit through our competition in cheerleading. And we would sometimes run into each other at Big Boys in Aurora for afterwards for a burger and a shake. So that memory stayed in our mind, and nobody was more surprised than Mary and I were when we ended up as neighbors on Deer Path Road, living across the street from one another for 25 years. And we had boys. Mary had Brad, I had John, Bob, and Tom, so 4 boys like brothers running back and forth across the yard. And when we would be outside watching them play wiffle ball or getting their shenanigans, climbing trees or whatever, we would sometimes, Mary was teaching art and I was teaching English, wouldn't it be fun to join together as a team and create a children's book someday? And so the result is, lo, these many years later, that we have dreamed big, we have faced our fears, we listened to nature singing, and the result is our song trilogy in Finding Wisdom in Nature, which we hope will inspire children and their reading companions to venture out into nature, not only to listen and to see its beauty, but to refresh the creative spirit of their souls. Thank you so much for coming. So now we would like to hear your questions, because those are always the best part of getting to know you and hearing what you'd like to find out more. Anything about the art, the writing. Anybody? Why we answered your questions? Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Hello. So, another neighbor on Deer Path Road. I noticed that it's Deer Path Press. So did you
Yes.
self-publish?
We
Yes.
did. We did. Yeah, we did self-publish. We tried to go the traditional route for a couple years, and then we're not spring chickens, and that is a long journey. And so we hired a publisher, and we independently published. And in a way, my first 2 books were traditionally published, but this has been actually quite freeing. It's given us, Mary and me, a lot of control over her art and how we put it together. And but we needed the expertise to have a publisher on how to format, getting the copyright, the, all of that. And so that's been our journey, and we're glad we did it. It's been challenging, but adventuresome as well, too. So nice to see.
I know more about paper, and what we learned was just unbelievable what has to go into this. And you get a dream, and all of a sudden your book's $1 more. And you have to keep those dreams under control. You know what I mean? So it's a very, very interesting career. Very interesting.
Yeah, did you have a question?
Just wondering if your book is for sale today.
Yes, they are for sale. We have soft covers and hard covers. And I think I mentioned if you'd like a set, Mary's got this lovely packaging that she set up. If you're looking for holiday, we'd love to sign them for you. And yes.
Are you planning on publishing other authors?
Publishing other. We're taking a big breath right now. So we've done 3 books in 3 years, 23, 24, and 25. And we're thrilled to have them out. We'd like to do some presentations in schools, more libraries. We've done a presentation at Gustafson School in Batavia where our sons went to school. The Wolf Song and Me, which had the kindergarten, 1st and 2nd graders literally howling like a wolf. And so that's been fun. So we'd like to kind of see where this journey takes us with that. Yeah, thanks.
This is the year they call launching.
Yeah.
And so this year, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do launching and try to put this out. See what happens.
Any other questions? It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces and new ones too. And again, Gary, thanks for all those sound effects. He was an angel to do all that. And Becky, yeah, another question? Lila, did you have a question?
I have been Marnie's next door neighbor for 40-some years, and I've had an epiphany that I just now know what's going on, and I'm delighted. Thank you so much.
My house was the one up on the hill that now has turned into,
We have shared birds and animals and whatever. I'm for tearing down our fence between us.
I think that the creatures, the fox and the coyote, they don't pay any attention anyway. But we've shared this little piece of woods that I look at Lila's beautiful trees. I see the owls, I hear the owls in our backyard. We've shared that for decades now, so it's just a joy to have you.
Just a comment for you. Yesterday I was driving down Deer Path and a coyote ran right in front of me by your house.
Oh, my God.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe the animals are attracted to you.
Well, and we have deer. Yeah.
I've seen 2 shadows back in the woods.
Okay.
Way behind.
They're living in Lila's house.
Oh.
That's right, yeah. And I love that. And we see that coyote often, and we've seen fox and deer. We hear the owls. We have wonderful birds. So, yeah. Any other
I think we're
questions?
seeing more deer.
Yeah. Well, again, we're just thrilled to have you come out. We'll move over this way if you're interested in the book. Come on over and see us, and we wish you a joyous Thanksgiving and a wonderful
yes.
holiday.